Hello there. Tonight's video is in response to a uh, idea that Evan Rogers had, where he decided to tag some people and uh, say, "Hey, can you post what your most used items for 2014 are?" That's really cool. A couple of YouTubers have done similar things before, but when we begin to start thinking about, you know, what can I do? What kind of video can I put uh, up this week, or you know, or the middle of this week, or whatever. Most of the time we're thinking in terms of centered around us. What can we do? Uh, what's interesting? What might interest people? Things like that. What might help? I'm always trying to find a way to kind of help people in some way to understand something, or to encourage them, that kind of deal. That's pretty much what I'm focused on. Even when I just do regular shaving videos and I have a new product, I'm trying to describe that product as well as I can, so that if anybody's interested in it, they'll get some information out of me instead of just watching me sit here and shave. So but anyway, it's really cool when a YouTuber goes, well, I could do that, for myself, but how can I include everybody else? And so, Evan, that's really cool, and I appreciate that. And Jammin' G.I. James tagged me for this video. I appreciate that as well, James. It's nice to be a part of this one. Now, this is a hard uh, video for me because I don't shave with the same thing, whether it's a soap or a razor or a brush or anything else, twice in a row normally. I have a lot of different razors, a lot of different soaps and brushes and that kind of deal, and I kind of try to rotate as best I can, because I like the differences in all the different products, and whether it's hardware or software. That's one of the attractions to me, is all the very difference. The one weakness that I have hardware wise is a straight razor. Uh, I can end up, going through my straight razors all week, instead of, like, most of the time if I shave with a straight razor, I want to do a DE the next day, or an SE or something different. So what I'm doing is, just like, kind of on the same veins, not so much the most used, but the one that I instinctively reach for the most. In each category is what I'm going to go. Now, there's some of them are going to get, some of the categories are going to get honorable mention, just because these products also share a spot, in my mind and in my heart when I go to think about that particular product or that range of products and what I'm going to use for the day. So uh, I'm going to start out with razors, and there are going to be three categories, four actually, but one of them I won't show. I'll just mention. Everybody pretty much knows what it is, but because I use four different types of razors. So first of all, I've got six straights. They're all vintage, and they all had to, I restored them all. Uh, but my favorite, the one that I reach for the most, the one that consistently gives me an excellent shave, is this one. It's a 51. The Victor is all that it says on the shank. Now the box that I got that came with it said Chicago Razor Company, or Chicago Straight Razor Company, or Illinois Straight Razor Company, or something along those lines. The box is put away, and I'm not going to dig for it. But this is out of Chicago. It's a good old American razor. It's a 6/8 spike point. Nice light grind. Just a beautiful razor. I get a wonderful edge on it, and Shaves like the bee's knees. Wonderful blade. And I reach for this more than any of my straights, and it's the lowliest of my straights that there is. The plainest, the simplest, but I reach for this one the most. And then I stopped to think about DEs, and I've got a ton of them, but this one here is probably my favorite. I reach for it probably the most. It's just a simple fat handle tech. It's a 50 or 51. There's not a lick of plating left on it anywhere. There's no date code on the puppy or anything like that. But this thing shaves incredibly well. They call techs mild. And a lot of people say, well, I can't get a decent shave from it. This puppy right here, it's not aggressive, but I wouldn't call this razor mild. It shaves a bit more. I've got two other techs, a ball-in tech and one of the black plastic handled tech razors. This one is more aggressive than the other two. It's just a finer shave, a closer shave. It's just a wonderful razor. And then single edge, that would have to be my 1924 Ever-Ready shovel head. Just a wonderful razor. A lot of people call this an aggressive razor. This thing, if you pay attention to the angle of it when you're shaving, gives one of the most closest, most comfortable, with a carbon steel gem Blue Star blade in it, or the CBS carbon brand, which both of those, when I look at them, have the, I think it's the 009 mark label on the spine of the blade. Both the gem Blue Stars that I get and the CVS, they look identical right down to the number stamped on them. So with a good carbon blade, this thing is just heavenly. Just a wonderful shave. And then injector wise, I have an E3 Schick injector. Here, I'll go ahead. I said I wasn't going to wring it out, but it's not that difficult to do. Schick E3. Lovely two-pass baby butt smooth, if you want to use those euphemisms. Just a bad little razor. Love it. So that's my razors. And blade wise, for my DEs, this is a go-to. I've got a lot of razor blades, and I've been through a lot of different ones, and I have a lot of favorites. But this Supermax Platinum, that's a really smooth, sharp blade. Lasts a long time. The Crystal is also a wonderful blade. Honorable mention, but also another honorable mention has to go to the Astra SPs, because they are a good middle of the road blade, a good workhorse blade. They work good in every razor that I've got. Just there's a wealth of wonderful DE blades out there, and those are some of my favorites. Soap wise, was a hard one. Well, actually it wasn't. It was hard to limit my honorable mentions to two, because I love soaps is one of my favorite things in wet shaving. But it was not difficult to pick a favorite soap, a soap that I reached for, and one that I used over and over and over again this year. And that was Razor Rocks Triple X. This stuff, when I first got it, I had read so much about how it was a sophisticated, perfumey type of scent, or I heard notes of citrus and all kind of stuff. And it took me 2 or 3 days, because when I got this soap, I used it. It was so good otherwise that I used it, 3-4 days in a row, because I just couldn't stop reaching for it because of the other properties. But the scent kind of threw me off, because when I got it, I didn't get any of that kind of thing. What I got was this has got a scent to me that's reminiscent of a beauty bar that my mom used to use when I was a kid, a soap bar that she would use for her face, a moisturizing type of thing. And it's a wonderful scent, but it's not perfumey to me. It's not citrusy to me. And I thought, well, you know, look, I like soapy scents, don't get me wrong. I just wasn't expecting it out of this. But this soap has a wonderful lather to it. It lathers dead simple. Nice, fat, thick lather. And the slickness of this soap rivals Sterling in my experience. It's just silly slick, just stupid slick, just incredibly slick. Uh, I can't even, when I get the soap on my fingers, I have a hard time washing it off so that I can grab a hold of my razor and shave it so slick. And the post shave feel of this approaches Sterling. It's got a wonderful, it leaves my face feeling nice and smooth and comfortable and moisturized. And I just, you know, I love this soap. Yeah, it's like a $7, $8 soap. You don't have to spend a whole lot of money to get a really high quality soap. And this is. Uh, and that would be my most used. It's the one I reach for the most. And then honorable mention would go to good old faithful Mitchell's Wool Fat. Now I've used this soap since I got it uh, a good 6 months ago, easy, and it don't even look like it's been touched. Uh, just a wonderful soap. Everybody knows Mitchell's Wool Fat. Hard to beat that. Honorable mention for that, and also it doesn't have a label on it, but this was piff to me. Uh, and I Clint Ausmus on the shave note for him. And it's Razor Rocks ABCBA. Just a wonderful bitter almond scent, not like the Cella with the cherry type deal, but just a wonderful mild bitter almond scent, incredibly slick, crazy slick again, like the Razor Rock Triple X. And it's a favorite scent of mine, and I'm still looking for a scent that even comes close to this. All the other almond scents that I've tried are sweet, and this is not, and I love it. So, and then let's look at brushes. Now, both of the brushes that I'm going to mention are Boar. I have my most used, and then I have the honorable mention, the one that didn't make the cut but came real close when we talk about most used. So the most used in 2014 is a Smoke 1470 Boar brush. This thing has got a ton of backbone, but the tips are so soft that it rivals. I've got a Simpson Duke 2 and Best. Wonderful soft brush, but I mean, this was a Christmas present. Came too late to be included in most used in 2014. So, but it's a really soft brush and all. This thing beats it softness wise. Just a really soft brush, but it whips up lather really fast and easily. There's not a soap it won't tame. It's just a lovely brush. It was piff to me, along with the other brush that I'm fixing to show you. And it's my favorite Boar brush, period. This thing just off the charts good for a Boar brush. For I think it's like $15 or $18 for this brush, worth every dime and more. And then an honorable mention goes to the Smoke 1438. And the bristles aren't quite as soft. And there's not quite as much backbone to this brush because I think that has like a higher quality bristle or whatever, or it comes from a different part of the boar or something like that. I can't remember what the difference between the two is, but I think that the 1470 knot is just a little bit better grade than this knot. But that's not saying a lot because this is a really awesome knot. But what I like about the brush is the styling. I mean, that's a classic look. And the way the handle feels in my hand. So if I'm reaching for a board, 9 times out of 10, it's going to be the 1470, and the other time it's probably going to be the 1438. Just wonderful brushes. Uh, and then lastly, aftershaves. Well, I've got a lot of aftershaves. Most of my aftershaves are old school, except for a couple, and most people would still call them old school, but to me they're not. Things like Halston Z14. Uh, I've got a lot of aftershaves, and I've got, one of my very favorite aftershaves that I've ever used in all my life is Old Spice. I love Old Spice. And it's funny to me how quickly this aftershave that I'm fixing to mention, uh, everything took a back seat to it. And now this is a cheap aftershave. It's one of the cheapest aftershaves you can possibly find in North America. It's under $2. But this is the aftershave that I remember smelling in all the barbershops when I was growing up. This was what they used. And it's Barbasol Brisk. And this has supplanted pretty much every other aftershave in my den. This aftershave right here, it has a wonderful barbershop scent. As a matter of fact, I know at least one soap maker copied this scent for their barbershop scent. It has a nice fat menthol kick to it that lasts a long time. But the thing about this is the post-shave feel of this aftershave is the best of any aftershave that I've ever used. This scent lasts for hours and hours and hours. You could call it a cologne. But the post-shave feel of this, if I get a soap that dries my face out, if I follow that soap with this aftershave, it's incredible. It makes one of the best soaps I've ever had post-shave feel-wise is Sterling. You can knock the scents and say, I've had Christopher David Bailey says he smells something he doesn't like in the scent of Sterling. That's fine. All of that is subjective. He's not knocking the soap. He's just saying, for me, there's something in the scent that I don't like. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay. But, I haven't had that problem, but you can't argue with the post-shave feel of Sterling. It's just incredible. And this soap right here, this aftershave rather, right here, I don't care what you use, whether it's like the Proraso Green tends to dry my face. It just does. If I follow that with this, first of all, I get a double menthol blast. But second of all, man, baby bottom, just nice and soft and just, oh man, I can't, I can't tell you how much I love this aftershave and the post-shave feel. This, you can say, well, $1.70 something, I'm not putting that on my face. Well, you might not like, I've had people knock the scent of this and stuff too, but they'll pay $15 for a shave soap that some guy made that patterned after this, but they'll knock this. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Wonderful aftershave. Wonderful for the face. Just incredible. Love it. And an honorable mention for that. No, it's not Old Spice. Believe it or not, it's an old standby in a lot of people's dens. Pinard Clubman. I didn't realize I'd never tried Pinard Clubman until I got into traditional wet shaving. But there was an aftershave that I used from Avon, Wild Country, when I was a teenager and had first started shaving. It was Old Spice, and then my mom turned me on to Avon's Wild Country, and Wild Country is patterned after this. and it's a wonderful scent. I don't know about the new. All I've got is vintage stuff. And to be honest with you, I would not buy vintage or buy new Wild Country because Pinard is better. It's just a better version. It's the original version, and it's a wonderful, wonderful aftershave. So those are my most used for 2014. Now, people have coined a term called shaverage, which is, I guess, the beverages that you drink while you're shaving. Well, I don't normally drink while I'm shaving of any kind, and I don't drink alcohol. But 9 times out of 10, when you see me drinking something, believe it or not, it'll be Mountain Dew, Diet Mountain Dew. Nothing fancy, nothing special. Matter of fact, most people would probably tell me it's one of the most worst things I could drink for my body and all of that. But I've been a Mountain Dew nut for 40 years, and became diabetic and had to go with diet, and I went with Diet Mountain Dew. And I've been drinking it for, like I said, I've been drinking Mountain Dew for 40 years. Probably it's my favorite beverage. That's my shaverage. That's my beverage of choice. Love it or like it, or love it or hate it, that's my shaverage. Simple guy, simple things. Now, I've got to tag somebody. And man, you guys are killing me. Tagging 5 guys at a time and all this stuff. That's crazy. Dudes, save some room for somebody. So I'm going to tag one person. That's it. And if he's already been tagged, I apologize. I've been watching all these videos, but I might have missed it. But I'm going to tag him anyway. And that's Valdi. He knows who he is. You guys know who he is. Just a really cool fella. He shares my love for vintage razors. He shares my love and part of simplicity and frugality. And I've always enjoyed all my interactions with him, and I'm curious to see what his most reached for, most used items in 2014 are. So Valdi, if you're watching, bless you, and you're tagged. All right, fellas, God bless you. And ladies, there's some ladies in this hobby too, which is awesome, by the way. Bless you. Thanks for watching. And I'll see you around the forums. I'll see you around Google Plus and YouTube and Facebook and everywhere else I can get a foot in. God bless you. And thanks. Bye.